Today's episode is sponsored by Some Edibles CBD infused products. That's SUM Edibles and can be found at
someedibles.com.
They have a variety of yummy treats, including
vegan organic gummies,
brown buttered chocolate chip cookies,
and marshmallow cereal bars, just to name a few.
For fans of the podcast, you can use the promo code WIFE, that's WIFE, to receive 10% off your order.
Again, promo code WIFE for 10% off your order.
So, head to someedibles.com today. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Drunken Housewife Reviews. I'm Sarah, the Drunken Housewife.
And I'm her host, husband, Ian, and I try to keep her in line as best I can.
It's a full-time job. We are with stand-up comedian, podcaster, Daniel Gonzalez today.
Not to be confused with Danny Gonzalez, who's all over YouTube. Two different people.
No. This is Daniel Gonzalez, aka Papi The Comic, right out of Bayamón, Puerto Rico. Everybody, what's going on?
There we go.
Awesome.
There we go. Yeah, we're rocking the Irish coffee again today, not margaritas, because I'm out of tequila and Dwayne Johnson still hasn't sent me any of his tequila. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
That Terramana is.
You think you know people.
I know. I want to try it. I hear so many wonderful things about this tequila.
Look, listen, I like The Rock, so I spent my money on his tequila. And I'll tell you this, both times that I've bought it, I've gotten a very good buzz off of it.
There you go.
See, I need this tequila in my life.
Need to talk to his people.
Yeah, I know.
We would totally accept a sponsorship.
I'm like, dude, we'll you can be our sponsor. Just send me some tequila and life will be good.
Hey.
Life will be good. But no.
Well, a little background on Papi here. You're from Austin, Texas, or currently living in
Austin, Texas. You know, the new mecca of comedy, as the locals call it.
Kind of the the oasis in the middle of Texas, so to speak.
It really is.
I don't know if it's the oasis. It's definitely something. Definitely something. It's weird, man. Living in Austin is truly weird. Like they say, keep Austin weird, but it's a weird city, right? Because we're in a sea of red and we're the blue dot, but also like Democrats in Austin aren't really Democrats.
Yeah, they've got a weird blur going on there.
No, it's a huge blur, man. It's like they're like, hey, 27 genders, keep our guns, let me continue to smoke weed, but also low taxes, everybody. Low taxes.
I have a friend that lives in Austin, so I'm constantly hearing the Austin stories. So it's
a fun city. It's a fun city, but it is truly it's unique. It has its own identity. I lived in South Florida most of my life, so coming here was like, what do you mean there's no beaches? There's plenty of bitches, but no beaches.
Gotcha.
Little letter change there.
And another thing was, it's like over here, there's like nobody's ever in a hurry or ever wants to get dressed up to do anything. Everybody just seems to look homeless at all times. So I'm over here thinking about, hey, how do I look my best to go do a comedy set? And I walk in and people are in their pajamas, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that's the way Austin does it.
Sounds like all you gotta do is like roll out of bed, maybe shower, brush your teeth.
Not even that. Just
not even that.
Get out of your tent from under the highway and just walk over to the bar.
Oh my god.
It's just too fun. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, recently I've discovered the power of leggings, and
leggings. Oh yeah, they're not.
Because I never leave the house.
To my wife.
Yeah, I never leave the house.
My wife has them in every color and every print.
Yes.
She goes, Uggs or heels, it goes with everything.
There you go.
See, my whole thing is, oh look, leggings with skulls. I must own these.
Oh,
it's just.
She had a problem. She had a problem. Like she had this pair of leopard print leggings that were just
leopard print. Okay.
That were just burning a hole in everything she sat on, and I'm like, babe, we gotta get rid of those. I won't. So she went. So us husbands, we have to be sneaky when we decide to get rid of a piece of clothing. I waited until she went to work, and it was my day off to clean the house. And then she goes, I can't find my leggings. I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
It's
she's
a
like,
mystery.
She's like, they were so comfortable. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. Pro tip, don't just throw them in the trash. Take the trash to the dumpster. That way they're completely gone.
Yeah.
They're completely gone.
Well, see, back in my childhood, everybody had burning barrels behind their house. So you could just dump stuff in there and light it on fire. Yeah. You know.
Burning barrels are for my jujitsu equipment when they get too stinky. that's when we do the seance and we're like, Lord, please, Jesus, let me pray there's people.
Sacrificing Girl Scout cookies, and
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been doing stand up? And I noticed that the podcast. You go and plug your podcast. Where can we find your podcast?
So my podcast name is called Daniel This. It's his third season. It's third iteration.
Okay.
Going strong this year. This is hopefully the season that I break through the
Sweet,
Rogans of the world, you know. But I've been podcasting for a long time. I've been doing stand-up for almost 3 years now.
Okay, now which came first?
Podcasting came first. Podcasting between starting my first podcast back in the 2016 election, which was a horrible idea.
Okay.
Well, you know.
And then it was an interesting time to start one, yes.
Yes. Then that one fell through because of inconsistencies and just there's a whole story behind the first podcast.
Did you have
really
like
interesting
partner?
It was a politically driven podcast, and I was like, let me do this. And then people ended up like, it was weird, like the activism online and the weirdos online. Some people ended up showing up to my day job and finding out where I work, and I'm like, you know what? I think let me shut this down. I am pissing off a lot of 3-letter agencies.
Wow.
So that ended up happening, and then me and my best friend ended up starting a podcast called Coño Cast. It was a little more my speed. It was sports, kind of Miami based, kind of a lot of Latino based stuff.
Okay.
And that was very successful for a while. Then he had a kid, and I didn't want to stop. We took a hiatus, and then, with his permission, I took, all the same RSS feeds and all that, rebranded it to what we have today, which is the Daniel This podcast. And it's just me talking to cool people, a lot of comics, a lot of artists, a lot of, it's fun, man. I've interviewed, Bruce Valanche, Mark
We
Scheffler.
just did him. Yeah.
He's so amazing. So much fun.
Yes.
He's a good guy. A couple of local guys here that I like talking to.
Pothead Chimpanzee.
I love that guy, Pothead Chimp. He's a good guy.
I just listened to that. That was very funny and very intense and very one-on-one, and it was very real. And I really liked that. That was really interesting.
So Max the Pothead Chimp, that guy. He's actually one of my closest friends in comedy. He is one of the gentlest souls you'll ever meet. But until you talk to him, you didn't, this dude he's an operator. Like, he just goes underneath the world and just does things, and it comes out in a cloud of weed smoke and tells you what's going on in the real world. And you're just like, yo, Papa, what's going on? And he was like, listen, languages don't matter, only the balance sheet. And you're like, Ted Kaczynski was right. Ted Kaczynski was right.
Please tell me he doesn't have a shack somewhere that he hangs out in. Because
actually, he does. He does. He's my favorite person. No, seriously, he is my favorite person. Look, Max Chimp. Look, this guy. He is the richest person I know. He refuses to buy a car, and he skateboards everywhere.
Okay.
There you go. He does his own thing.
He's his own unique individual.
Doing his own thing.
Like at the comedy club, he'll perform. He's funny, right? But what I love about him is that he's always in the corner, just like this. He looks like he's not really a conspiracy theorist. He just tells the truth as he sees it and walks away. And I love him for that, because I'm like little D, like people need to listen to you more often. He goes, I get to do this, and just walks away. It's just my favorite part of hanging out with Max. And he's such a loving soul, really. Like, it's from the inside out. He's one of the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
loving
I really,
people.
yeah, I really felt that. Yeah, it's really cool. So it was very interesting. And there's a Selena. I listened to that one too with Selena with a Y.
Selena with a Y,
Selena
Selena
with a
Cole. Oh,
Y.
she's a beautiful person too, man. She's a comic. You know, she's a single mom. She had a lot of stuff going on, man. I need to catch up with her. Now you remind me. I gotta reach out to some of my guests. Make sure they're
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Make sure they're alive. Oh my God. I just talked to them like, I see you next time. Just come back, whatever. That's just my life.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, I think, everybody's life right now. It's like you
try to
haven't
check in on
actually
everybody as you
laid
can,
eyes
yeah.
on somebody in weeks, and you're like, I need to find this person. Are they still alive? Are they
Make sure they're
okay?
yeah,
Are they? You know?
Don't speak for yourselves. I live in Texas. I haven't locked down since 2020. I'm out here, you know, breathing in all the COVID, all the Omicron, and I'm fine. You know, like, you know, it's okay. It's just a sniffle. Just shake it off. Joe Rogan sent me some stuff. We'll be fine. You know, everything's fine. It's fine.
That's funny.
It's true though. Like you come here and very few people, like, I don't want to say it's inconsiderate. I think it's, you know, local government will say whatever they want. But I think the beauty of a place like Texas and Austin is that we're just wild people. What makes us great is that we're so wild. We just go out there and we do what we want. And then we're like, we'll be okay. Like, I know everybody that I know has had COVID, and then everything that they say was like, bro, it was nothing. And then I'm like, my dad got it, ended up getting a quadruple bypass surgery. And I'm like, it isn't nothing. But let's be careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. It just hits everybody totally different. It can wipe out like whole small towns, and then another person like, I had a cold. It's fine. It's weird how it just affects. So yeah, exactly.
It's so vastly
really
different.
weird.
And I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what to tell you. I was vaccinated, and that's it. You know, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to tell people what to do, man. It's like, do what you like. Talk to your doctor. Don't take look. I'm the one out here at the clubs every night. I'm out here, you know, doing jujitsu 3 times a week. I don't mind taking the viral load because I feel like I can. You talk to your doctor, make sure that you got to do what you got to do.
Well, one of the weird things is here in Indiana, on the south side, there's a comedy club called Getty's, which I won't get into. But anyway,
the comedy club drama. Yes.
Well, no,
favorite drama.
But it gets
It gets weirder
and a lot worse because they are huge anti-vaxxers, huge anti-maskers, and they had an open mic event. Everybody in the club got sick, and actually 3 of the performers had died. Ooh. Straight up from COVID. Yeah, so it's a bizarre thing. It's kind of a weird plague that we don't know who it's going to hit. We don't know who it's going to hit hardest, and you know, it's just been weird.
It is a weird thing, especially, you know, I'm one of the wild ones that decided to do comedy during the pandemic. I don't hide the fact that I did, but I also know that during that time I didn't see my parents. I didn't see my parents for over a year, until they felt comfortable enough. One, once I got my vaccine, I felt like I could go see them, and 2, when they got their vaccine, it was kosher. Like, we're gonna go see you guys. But throughout that time period between right when Texas started opening back up after the major lockdowns, where the entire country was locked down, it was around June, July of 2020. We started kind of creeping back up. Everything was 50%. You know, only venues that sold food and alcohol were open, but if you were a comedy club, we're still closed. So we're still doing comedy at these weird places, and we're doing, you know, I was driving 45 minutes to an hour just to go do comedy.
Yeah.
Locally for 5-minute spots where, you know, pre-COVID, when I started in Dallas, I could do 5 spots a night, no problem. It was different. I say that, you know, the pandemic comics, guys like myself, and, you know, there's a bunch of names like Dean Stanfield, Hans Kim, all these guys that kind of, we never really stopped. We altered our course. We're finding success post-pandemic. You know, when everybody else was scared to stay, to come out, we're like, hey, we're not telling you guys to come out, but we're going to go out because this is a career path that we're choosing. And we're going to continue to work on our craft, in front of audiences that want to listen to, especially mid, 2020, 2021, where people were still scared. The people that came out, they were so tired of being indoors that they just didn't care if it was music, comedy, spoken word. They were like, we need entertainment and we're tired of being in the house. Let's just go out and watch. And it was beautiful. Things are starting to normalize now. You go back out, nobody gives a damn about comics anymore.
Well, the thing is that the comedy places that I played, including Austin, my day job is as a flight attendant. So I've done like 2 or 3 nights open mic in Austin, which I had a blast doing because they dig my weird stuff. Here in Indiana, not as much, but there you go. But anyway, going to this comedy clubs or bars, whatever, they took precautions with the whole masking and blah, blah, blah. And it was only 50%. And then the performer would go up there and put on a little, condom for the microphone.
Mic condom.
Yeah, exactly. And so
the worst part was
yeah,
they put the mic condom, and then instead, when they got off, instead of taking it with them, they would leave it on there.
Yeah.
And then you'd go and you'd be like, hey, like, it's
what's the
more
point?
sanitary if I just speak directly into the mic and you dip this motherfucker in alcohol.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the thing was too is that my style is that I would have the microphone down here and I would project as my theater background. So I would project and be able to not have to be it right there. So you get my facial reactions. And so it didn't bother me as much. I just wasn't touching the little tip if they would leave it on there. So yeah.
Just the tip.
Yeah, leave the tip alone.
It became a shtick for a while. Every time you'd go up.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Hey, you're taking off the condom like it's a used.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it's even more nasty. Like especially. Oh, I'm sorry, I just hit the mic. I'm an asshole. Every time you would take it out, you're just like, wait, like why? Like it became a thing for me, especially for me. I used to be a very, 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 very heavy man. I was almost 505 pounds, and it became an issue of like, okay, look, we need to take care of our health. We need to take care of the entire thing. And for me, it wasn't just working out and take my vitamins. It was like, no, I needed to go do comedy because this is part of my mental health too.
Oh, I get that.
Yeah.
And it became a whole thing for me. And it was weird, like the whole COVID, like it gave me a lot of opportunities. And I'm glad I took those opportunities when I did, when nobody else was around to take them, because I wouldn't have what I have today. And honestly, the pandemic for a lot of people were, worst case scenario, had to stay home, take care of kids and all this other stuff. And, there's so many people that I know lost their jobs or wouldn't go back because of the fear of the virus. And I don't know if I did it the right way. And, maybe in 20 years, I'll look back and say, I should have stayed home with the rest of these people. But
well, I think it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
It really
yeah,
is.
for sure. But right now I'm thinking back and I'm like, I took a chance. I gambled on myself. I did what I could to prevent others from getting sick. But at the end of the day, I needed to move forward. I couldn't stay, in this place of fear. I think that's where most people are still stuck in, especially in the bigger cities. I love New York.
Well, they're all over each other. That's the problem, though. They're all over each other.
They are.
So they're a little more. They have a little more mixture of paranoia and caution. Because those two things blur, especially with something like this, and being that closed in, like you said, in New York, it's just. But when you're in Texas, when you're like, okay, I don't have to wear it 95% of the day, but if I go in a store, I'll throw one on, get my shit, get out, and take it off, and then everything's kosher. It's just it's a different thing.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It's like one of those things, like it's the biggest deal, but then you look at it, it's like, look, just be smart. Just be smart, do your thing, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Well,
I say you brought up your weight loss, which then immediately put in my head the carjack joke.
Yeah, we did like the carjack
research.
Yes,
I just
so much research compared to me. I just go, I look at the person's Instagram, I see what they done, and I'm like, hey, let's just have a conversation, bro.
Well, I like to get a feel for people, and when I just could totally visualize somebody coming in, with the like
carjack. Yeah, I'm getting to it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, I one especially talking stand up to stand up. So I'm like really enjoying this. Like I was wanting to get into what are your influences? What would you say your three or four main influencing
so
comedians?
My main influence in stand up, and it's I call him my Richard Pryor. You know, everybody always says Richard Pryor is their best guy. It's John Leguizamo. I know,
yes,
that
Big
is
fans. Yes,
I'm a huge fan. I mean, when I first remember somebody making me laugh by just talking was when my brother bought the cassette tape from Blockbuster.
Yes.
Put in Freak. And I'm like, is this even real? Can I say this? And my brother would be like, you can't say it in front of mom. And I'm like, but it's funny. You know, and I say this all the time. It's like in that scene in his stand-up where he's talking about, you know, playing salsa music so loud it disrupts NASA communications. That was my childhood. Like legitimately was my childhood. My dad had, you know, the big 2-tower Servan Vega speakers. He would put them out on the street and he shut down the entire neighborhood. Like that was my family. We were those dirty Puerto Ricans. That's who we were. That's who we were. And I am so awesome. Proud of that. And I'll tell you this, every time I tell that to people, it's like, is it serious? I'm like, there's video evidence. I can't deny there's video evidence. We're those people. Like,
that's funny.
And it's as an adult, I have this Puerto Rico jersey that I have in my closet that I can't, if I go to New York, Puerto Rico, or Chicago, I'll wear it proudly. But in Texas, I feel like such a fool. And part of me goes, I really, 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 really want to wear this. But there's no other Puerto Ricans for me to like geek out with in Texas like that. And then when they do find them, they're looking at me like, bro, don't fuck it up for us. Don't fuck it up for us. Shut the fuck up. These white people don't know that we're not white, okay? Shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my God. That's wonderful. But yeah, John Leguizamo for us is very underrated. He was great in Kanto, and then going back to Tu Wong Fu, where he was in drag and stuff. Oh my gosh,
he was beautiful as a woman.
Amazing, versatile performer.
Here's the thing, right? What he did in his career, especially before he went into like voiceover and screen acting, he broke a lot of barriers for the Latino community, and most people don't realize. He talked about, you know, the transgendered. He talked about, you know, the immigrant, you know, experience. But for him, he's a mixed guy. He's Puerto Rican and Colombian. He has this unique perspective, but it's all family. It all revolves around family. You see everything he does is all family, and I've always appreciated that. Another guy would be like Chris Rock, right? Chris Rock, his style of writing is fucking phenomenal.
Yes.
Dan Carlin, you know, obviously Chappelle. I can name off all the guys that I respect and I emulate, and I do my best to kind of like every time. Jim Gaffigan. I'm not a huge fan of Jim Gaffigan, but I just saw his most recent special. I'm like, I quit. I'm done with comedy. I can't write anything this funny. I'm going home.
You're like, that's it. Done.
I get that.
Yeah, because I know, like, he'll try to write stuff and he's like, but I just can't make it sound like so-and-so. And I'm like, you don't make it sound like so. It's supposed to be you. But at the same time, you're just like, that's so freaking brilliant. There's no way I can, you know, top it. I can totally understand, you know, seeing somebody's stand up and be like, yeah, that's it. I could never, you know.
I'll tell you this. I don't know if you know who Brian Holtzman is.
Name sounds familiar.
Name sounds so familiar.
Okay, so quick background on Brian Holtzman. Brian Holtzman is a Comedy Store legend, by the way. He holds the Kinnison spot at the Comedy Store currently. He's held it for 20 years. Legitimately.
Okay, that's probably why the name sounds, because Comedy Store.
He was in the Comedy Store documentary. They made a whole episode about Brian Holtzman, right?
Yeah,
like him following him being the heir apparent to Kinnison. He was spending time out here during the pandemic, right after Austin opened up. Joe Rogan moved out here. Brian Holtzman ended up here, and I was opening up for him at a show.
Oh wow!
And it was one of those things. It was like, hey, I did okay. It was a decent set. It wasn't bad. But Brian Holtzman goes in there, obliterates the crowd, gets off, and whatever. So we're in the back. We're talking. I'm like, hey, any advice, you saw my set. He was like, dude, you're funny. Just when you're not doing well, blurt out whatever is in your brain. It was like, just say it. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't have to make sense. People will laugh. It was like, why? Because it's absurd. And his way of talking like this, he's absurd. He's like, just do it. Mr. Gonzalez, just do it. And it's he is one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever met, because that same week he gave me his phone number. We hung out. We went out to dinner.
Wow.
And every time he's in town, he hits me up just to see how I'm doing. Has nothing to do with comedy. He's just one of those genuine human beings that's been doing comedy for so long that he doesn't know how to think any other way. And
I get that.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to watch, man. It's guys like him that aren't mainstream, but murder a crowd harder than any of the mainstream.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of one of the focuses on our podcast, is talking to people who are just under the radar but are brilliant. And it's like kind of the comic's comic, or like it's the musician's musician, that kind of a thing, and where you can appreciate just for the artistry of it.
Brian Holtzman is your favorite comic's favorite comic. And I say that because you talk to Chappelle, you talk to all of them, and they all say Brian Holtzman. Like Brian, I don't want to give away his bit, but he was talking about he was working a bit one time that was so fucked up that the bar damn near closed down and tried to kick him off stage.
Wow.
But it was hilarious.
That's some old school Carlin and stuff getting kicked off. And,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's wow.
He got off stage, and the bar owner like comes up to us at the end of the show, and he goes, "What was that, a Trump rally?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it wasn't even that bad. It had nothing to do with you didn't even say Trump. Like, what are you talking about?" But it was just the style that he brings to the table. And if you know him, he doesn't believe anything that he's saying. He's just, that's the way his mind goes. It's like, what is the most shockingly funny thing I can say to you just to get you to react? And it's beautiful. I'm like, say it. But it's also 30 plus years of experience too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he's just being shocking. It's like the experience of being a stand-up matters.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's right up there with Doug Stanhope and
that's another
Bill
guy.
Hicks and those guys, where they just have that experience and they know what to say and how to phrase things and the delivery. Yeah, it's all experience and mastery. And yeah, it's wonderful. And one of the things too is that I like the hearing the marginalized voices, which definitely the Latino community is definitely a marginalized voice. But you have I believe Angela Johnson, and then others that are coming up and then you also have Middle Eastern. And then you also have say Kumail, who is from Pakistan, and that kind of thing. I love hearing those because nobody wants to hear this guy all the time. Like really, really white guy. It's like we've all heard that. It's like I want to hear all the voices that are coming up, and you're definitely a good part of that.
Yeah,
it's not his fault.
I know. It's just I have heard. I mean, we've been married going on 25 years now, so it's like I've heard every joke. And it's like, well, what about this? I'm like, well, yeah, it was fun. It was funny the first time I heard it, so go with it.
Well, what's funny is that I went back into doing stand-up about 2 to 3 years ago, and the thing is that when I started, I told her that she's not going to like what I'm going to have to say. She will not like my style. She does not like my style of stand-up at all. And it's like, and I don't have a problem with that. Just don't watch it. Don't give me notes, because you're just going to hinder my free flow. And I'm just basically, like you said, if it's in your head, if it's absurd, that's basically how I started with this new voice, is that it's just out there. I start off doing like a death metal version of nursery rhymes, and then go into pegging jokes. And it's a weird combination where it all just kind of flows together. And so I'm just tell her, you're not going to like it. She's not going to like it. And that's the thing, is that nobody's going to like everything that you do.
That's the beauty of comedy. There's a flavor for everybody, right? But what makes a good stand-up a great stand-up, like phenomenal, is it doesn't matter who they're in front of. they're professionals about it, right? Doesn't matter.
Yes.
I will rock a stage in New York City, Florida, LA. I don't put me if there's a mic, a wall, and a stool. I'm telling jokes. I'm telling jokes.
Yeah.
And you can always learn something from every performance. No matter how good or how bad, you learn something from it.
You learn way more from the bad ones, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
You learn way more. But it's one of my favorite things to just what draws me to stand up, a lot like martial arts, right? It's that you don't know when you get good, but people tell you when you get good, right? Like it never feels like you're getting better. It never feels like you're getting better. It always feels like you're chasing something you can't attain, and then all of a sudden everybody goes, "Bro, that shit was funny," and you're like, "Really?
Oh yeah,
funny? Oh my god, thank you. I'm not gonna kill myself tonight, right?" And but it never happens in the beginning. Like the journey of a stand up, I'm 3 years in, and that first year, God, I feel bad for anybody who has to listen to it. I feel like I'm sorry. Like if you were in Dallas and any of the open mics that I went to and you listen to this podcast, I want to apologize. It was horrid. Listen, and it wasn't that the premises were bad. I got to give myself a little credit, right? It's you just don't know how to do comedy.
That's it's all really learning process. It really
you just don't know how to do comedy. And I'm not saying I'm better now, but I'm not where I want to be. But it's one of those things. It's like it's a progressive overload. You don't see it today, you won't see it tomorrow, but a year, 3, 4, 5, 6 from now, all of a sudden one day you're going to be headlining, and you're going to like. I still look at myself as the kid that was, just starting off. I don't see myself doing any better than before.
Well, actually, I think that's a good mindset in and of itself, that where you don't start believing your own bullshit.
I can't.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's like you're still grounded, saying I'm still this person, just weirder and weirder and more interesting stuff is coming out of my head.
I was talking to Mark Scheffler about this, and he was like, what you learn in your journey as a stand-up is you learn how to take everyday life and put them in joke structure. Then it becomes funnier as time goes on. He was like, eventually you're just going to be writing bits in your head all the time, and then you just put them pen to paper, and like I've taken comedy writing classes, which help. I'm not going to say they don't help. They do. You learn the techniques, right? You learn the techniques. It's a formula to making things funny, but you can't fake the fun. The audience, whatever the crowd is, that organism, in every place that you go to, it's a living organism, right? It's people, it's individuals, it's a collective that they can smell when it's not you. They can just, you walk up there from the way you grab the mic to the way you address them. They just can tell. Like, I don't know what it is. They either go, oh, he doesn't know shit, or, oh, he knows what he's doing. Like just the way you do it is like they feel it. And everybody does it different, but there's something that they just know. And then when you tell your jokes and you say your jokes, they know when it's being rehearsed versus if it's being performed. And it's it's those little minute details that the art of stand-up, we need to make it sound like we just told it to you the first time. That's the art, right?
Yes.
It's when you run a bit the first time and it kills, you're like, I need to recapture that. How do you recapture that? You don't. You just try to do it again.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's what I love about it. That it's extremely hard.
Now, do your family and friends, like, I know every once in a while I will do something completely stupid or weird or just insane, and I'll look at him and I'm like, this is going to end up in a bit, isn't it? I mean, do your family and friends every once in a while look at you and go, this is going to end up in a bit, isn't it? Yes, or is it just assumed?
No, so my wife kind of just understands anytime something weird happens in the house, that I'm probably going to write about it. My friends, it's weird because all my close friends that I grew up with, they know I do stand up, but they've never seen me do stand up because they're all over the country, right? Like a lot of my friends still live in Florida, some still in New York, but my friends here locally in Austin met me as Papi the Comic, right? They know it's like, oh, that's Danny, Papi the Comic. He's a comedian. So they expect me to be on at all times. And when I'm not on,
Yes.
They're like, "Are you good?" And I'm like, I'm just myself right now. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
it's just I just want to hang out, man. Just
like example, like I'll be at work, I have my day job, and I don't cut up. I'm like, I separate my day job and my comedy life on purpose, and it's two things. It's to respect the people that I work for. I don't want them to feel that I'm gonna just say all kinds of crazy things at work, because that's number one. They know like my boss knows I'm a stand-up, and he knows that I have found some success in stand-up. So he's not telling me not to do it, but he's asked me, it's like, hey, just respect the business. We're still doing something, and that's fair.
Yeah.
So I just tone it down at work. I still I've always been the funny guy in the group, so it's just me not trying tell pussy jokes when there's kids in the fucking in the lobby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I separate that, and then sometimes I'm just hanging out with my friends, and they're like, bro, like, I thought you were a comic. I'm like, I am. And they're like, but you're not joking around right now. What do you think this is? Like dance monkey dance? Like, no. There's a time and place for it. And doesn't mean I'm not writing. It's like I'm always writing. I always have my phone on me. I always have a notepad close by.
It's always going on in your head.
It's always here.
Always,
but it doesn't mean I'm gonna out there, right?
Exactly.
It's a hard thing for people to kind of grasp that. It's like a lot of comedy comes from negativity, unfortunately, right? It does. It comes from depression, it comes from anxiety, it comes from trauma. And I'm not gonna sit here on a day-to-day basis. I like to consider myself a naturally happy person. I like to bring happiness to others, positivity. I don't like being the downer when I'm thinking about how funny it was when I used to be, 12 years old, and my dad used to do Catholic punishments to me, like it's funny because looking back now, I'm looking back at the era. It was George Bush, enhanced interrogation techniques, leave no bruises. Then you start building a joke in that way. But it's like you tell people, it's like, no, listen. I grew up very, very Hispanic, which means I love my parents, but that also means I got my ass beat, and it's nothing wrong with it. I'm okay with it. Like, I love my parents, but these are truths that are uncomfortable for most people to hear outside of a comedy setting.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, oh, that sucks. What are you gonna do about it? You ever confront them? It's like, no, I was a kid. I was dumb. I deserve to get my ass beat, but it's not normal for a kid to put his forehead on the wall and take 3 steps back and just sit there for 3 hours. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah.
Or when I tell my white friends, it's like, you ever knelt on rice for hours? They're like, that sounds like torture. I'm like, that was a Tuesday night. Don't worry about it. like like it was things like that it resonates with a Hispanic and Black audience. It's like, like, this is just the way it was for us. And I tell, sometimes I'm, very white audience. The only ones that resonate are the really country folk. They're like, oh, we still beat our children out here. Like, but downtown, they're like, our kids have rights. He sees a therapist 4 times a week. Kyle, he's having an existential crisis at 13. I'm like, no, he's fucking hormonal and needs to get his ass beat. Okay, that's what that's the truth.
Did your mom have that look? I know my mom had that look where once that look hit your face, it's like, stop moving, stop breathing, do not say another word, or you're gonna die.
My favorite moment with my mom, and I say this has happened multiple times. She gave me the look, and then it was always happened to be when we were at church, right? She would look at us, and then she'd reach over to the far arm, not the one right now, but the far arm, and pinch the fat behind your arm. Right? And then she'd whisper in Spanish in our ear, and she'd be like, swallow it, swallow those tears, or you're gonna get your ass beat in front of all these people. And but she say it in this like
a serial.
We're in church.
Yeah.
Like we're in church. Where's the mercy? Like she was like, there is no mercy in this house. Not in this dojo. This is war. Like, legitimately.
That's funny.
It was and I when I talk to it with my brother and my sister, they're like, "Ay, Dios mío, mommy, was so intense when we used to go to church." And I'm like, I know John Kreese over there telling us that there is no mercy in this dojo. It's the truth, and it was like I wouldn't change those moments for me because I wouldn't have these crazy stories. It was like, I got stories of my mom. She let me sit across the state, from her with all the youth group one time, and I was cutting up, and then I looked back, and she's like giving me the look, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, what? You're not allowed to come over. She's gonna say no. Don't ask for me because I'm gonna get ass beaten for you and for me. So just don't. And they're like, then always have that one white friend that went to church with us. He was like, "What do you mean? It'll be fine. It'll be fine." I'm like, listen, Kyle, this is not an emergency. This is not a drill. If you go up to my mom, we're not friends anymore.
That's funny.
It's so true.
Totally get that.
Yeah, totally get that.
Oh my gosh. I hate to, it's about that.
It's about that time.
It is about that time. We could talk to you forever though, so we're gonna have you back, man.
No, you anytime you guys want to do this, I'm down.
Sure.
I'm usually not a morning person, and if I'm usually on the road by now, if I'm honest. I'm gone, but
gotcha.
I stuck around for you guys.
Well,
we appreciate it. Yeah, we appreciate it, man.
This was a great interview. We like it. I say come back. If I'm overnighting in Austin, I'll say yo.
Let me know. Hit me up. You got the Facebook, you got the Instagrams, you got my emails. We'll figure it out. You can actually check out a couple of my things as far as stand-up goes, or not. I have no ego. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I like watching comedy. And here's the thing. And if I'm honest, like I run a show out in Northwest Austin at Slackers Brewery once a month. And I tell a lot of the comics, it's like, look, your tape is cool. Like, not to say your tape doesn't mean you're not funny, but your tape is your best set. I just because you're not doing well at a set does not mean I won't book you. I want to see you do your material live. Why?
Sure.
Because there's Siri's listening, guys. CIA is listening. So there's something about watching a comic live to see if they have their legs under them, and you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right. There's a lot of young comics that are funny, right? Like they're just funny people, but they don't have their legs in there. They don't know what to do when the crowd isn't going their way. And I look for more of the experienced comics. It's like it's just because it's not going as well as they hoped. They're still going through their jokes like a pro. They'll hit the punchline. Oh, no reaction. Move on to the next one.
Exactly.
And I started looking for guys like that because when there's a real, I call it real crowd, right? A crowd that is expecting to laugh, they'll do great. They'll murder in a crowd like that versus the crowd that's not paying attention. And then, you got a guy that's naturally funny and this side or the other, and he just doesn't have those stage legs under them. That's something that I really look for. And a guy like you that you've been doing it for a while, I'm sure you got stage legs. You've bombed, you've done great. I'm not worried.
Dude, I don't care if the audience is laughing or not. I think this shit's funny and I do it. If you're not laughing, fuck you. I don't care.
I mean, you should. It's your job to make them laugh. But
that's the thing is I can't make everybody laugh. That's my thought is like, no matter what you do on the stage, somebody's going to like it and somebody's not going to like it. Once you get that out of your head, you're good to go.
And even then, there's certain shows where, the crowd feels weird. Like they're nodding, they're smiling, and you're like, bro, I call it the Texas bomb because they're polite. They don't like telling you suck. And you get off stage and then there's, hordes of people. Oh my God, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. You're like, and in my head, I'm like, that was the worst performance I've ever put out. What are you talking about? Like, you don't know shit. Go back to your house, watch Netflix and laugh all to yourself because you don't know what real comedy is. Like, and it's those performances that I like to see more veteran guys watch because they'll start messing, they'll start doing crowd work in, and oh man, I'm a fan of the art before anything. So
exactly. I'm mad respect for art, for the art of it. Yes.
Yeah,
right, guys.
definitely.
I could keep saying
Oh yeah,
goodbyes.
same here.
Yeah, I know.
I could keep. Look, I'm Hispanic. There's like 10-minute goodbyes, and there's a 3-hour goodbye.
Yeah,
Let's not get to the 3-hour goodbye.
Exactly.
Be here till tomorrow morning, and then, you know, my mom's gonna be like, "Mijo, why were you on a podcast for 6 hours? Don't you just say goodbye? You have something to say. You can't just shut the fuck up. Mijo, ¿qué te pasa?"
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah,
Well,
we'll
we'll
get
definitely.
you back on. Go ahead and plug away, and we'll put your stuff underneath.
Yeah.
Plug us, big boy.
Appreciate it, guys. Guys, you can find me everywhere online at Papi The Comic. Best way to catch all the podcasting links, any stand-up clips, anything at all. There's a link in my bio. It's analyze this link bio, link tree.
Yes.
That has any future dates. You can, you know, donate to the podcast to help the podcast grow, like I always say. Other than that, you know, I'm everywhere. Papi the Comic, Daniel Gonzalez, PAPI as Papi, and that's it, guys.
Cool.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah,
we'll definitely get with you and have
man.
you come back.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys.
Definitely.
Y'all have a good night and good day. I really do have to get going.
Yeah.
Same here.
Check.
All right.
Later on.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was
Daniel Gonzalez. Super funny guy. Seriously, check out his stuff. Because
again, not to be confused with Danny Gonzalez, the YouTuber.
Yes,
Daniel
it's
Gonzalez.
Daniel.
Yes, PAPI.
PAPI.
From Austin.
And his podcast.
Dannylize, DANNYLIZE this.
Yes.
And that you can find that on all the major outlets.
So check it out. We will be back obviously with more stuff.
Yes.
So until next time, we'll catch you later. Bye.